Welcome to Saturday Soundbites. I'm Veronica Sofer, your host, and I'm so excited that you're here. We've got a phenomenal show for you. At Saturday Soundbites, we focus on providing you inspiration, tips, strategies, and techniques that are really going to help you boost your business with leveraging media, both traditional and non-traditional. So we're going to talk about that. If you are listening on our podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. You're not going to want to miss any of our episodes. And if you're on Facebook, share this great video with your friends. It's really going to help them as they are leveraging their business as well. And if you've got comments, make sure you put them in the comments. And if you're watching on replay, hashtag replay so that my guest and I can get back to you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I've got an awesome guest. You guys are just going to love Trey Serna. He is a professional journalist, digital marketer, and all around fantastic guy. He's going to give you some phenomenal tips that are going to help you learn how to create messages and pitches that are going to land you TV media coverage specifically. So we're going to talk to him in just a second, learn about his journey, tell you what he's been up to, and we will go ahead and get him started. So we're going to welcome Trey. He's coming on in. Trey, welcome.
Hey, hi there. Good morning.
Thank you for being here. We're so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Happy to be here. You know me. Yeah, this is great.
Perfect. So kind of like TV, but not TV.
Well, you know what? These days, this is exactly like TV now because COVID's made everyone do this. So it actually made everyone step up to the game and actually have to become their own videographer, their own light technician, or their own everything. So yeah, totally. I mean, this is exactly what TV is nowadays.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We've got about 30 minutes with our audience today. So let's talk about your journey from how you got to become a digital storyteller and marketer, former news anchor. Give us a little bit about Trey and the journey.
Yeah. So here's the gist. If I start going off, please just cut me off and let me know because I could just talk forever about this. But yeah. So I started in TV news in 2008. Went to school. I wanted to be a print journalist. That's what I wanted to do. And then in 2008, I got an offer to do TV news. And TV news is actually something it was a little different for me because I didn't know how to write for television. So that was interesting that I got thrusted kind of into that. But it helped me learn a new way of writing. And I started off in TV as a TV news producer. So as a producer, you learn to write and to put all these ideas together and whatnot, but you also have to learn how to take everyone else's ideas and everyone else's stories and then put them together for a show and make it flow. So that kind of helps wrap your mind around kind of how you have to make all the pieces kind of fit together. So then I moved up to Houston, did TV news up here in Houston for a while. In 2015, I started to jump a little bit in front of the camera and got to do some on-air work. And around that same time, you'll hear it from a lot of people who've done TV before. They'll just tell you kind of reach a burnout phase and just kind of you get tired of the constant just system of things. And I was looking for something different. So 2015, I jumped ship and I started doing school PR. And I did that for a year. And then a year later, that's what brought me obviously to you. So I started doing more school PR there. And that was really interesting because coming from TV news, and that's all I knew from college to TV news to then PR, it was really fascinating to see how everything was put together for people of the media, putting together those media events and the press releases and the press kits and all that. So there was always a sense of, I knew the kind of stuff as a reporter and as a producer that I like to see when I would receive information. So that helped me in kind of putting that kind of information together. And so yeah, it was a good experience all around. And then come 2018, an old news director of mine came rolling around and asked me to go back into TV. And this opportunity was a little different, and I felt the need to jump back in because it was going to be a more full-time on-air position. And I knew the opportunity that was being presented before me. I knew I should take it. So it was one of those things where I was like, I need to give it a try because if I don't, I'm obviously going to be very upset that I didn't give it a try. So that's where I landed back in TV. And this past summer, again, here's a part of the journey. I left TV again for a number of reasons. And I think just to make it kind of short, 2020, you can just say that. And
That's it.
Yep. That's it. So yeah, so here's where we are now.
Yeah. And I would say, so what do you think was the consistent theme through all of that? Was it the ability to tell a story just in a different way? I mean, what was that thread between all of those different places for you?
Well, funny you mentioned that because so there definitely was a thread from going to TV news to school PR and seeing how you put the stories together from two different perspectives. That made total sense. The thing that kind of was a little different this time. So during the summer, rewind a little bit. Back in the spring when I was still with my former coworkers, they were all on this app called TikTok. And I remember seeing the app and thinking, okay, I'm on social. I'm on, you can see me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, the main ones. I didn't understand the app. And I remember thinking, I was like, this is a little strange. And I saw them kind of dancing and doing weird stuff in the studio. And I was like, I'm not going to jump on that silliness, how quick I was to judge. But I observed for a number of months. And then come this past summer after I left and I was just here, I had been an observer on the app. And I was like, oh, you know what? I was like, let me try one out. Let me try a video and just, see what happens. So I made a video and I was like, oh, this is cool. Just kind of the interface and kind of feeling it out. I posted it. It got some traction. I was like, oh, this is interesting. But it wasn't until a few weeks later, maybe about 2 weeks later, it was actually pretty fast. I posted another video and that one went viral. And I didn't know I didn't know what I was dealing with. I didn't know it. I just saw my phone just blowing up. And the thing about TikTok is that people don't and I think, I gave two to you that you could take a look at if you want to show the viewers. It's kind of just what people think of TikTok, and this is how I started off doing what I was doing. So if you want to,
yeah, I was gonna say let's show one for those of you who aren't familiar with what TikTok looks like. We've got one right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and then we'll come right back.
I can hear you, but I won't.
So obviously, just silliness, and that's what it is. I mean, essentially, that's what the app can be. So that was one of the first ones I posted, and it took off. Shortly after that, when I did another one, and that one went up to 4.7 million views.
Wow!
I didn't know. Again, I was like, "What's going on? This is weird." So I realized that there was something going on because I had a couple of friends on the app that were telling me, they're like, "You realize your audience growth is somewhat abnormal. Like it blew up essentially." And I was like, I didn't know. I was like, I didn't know. I thought that's how the app worked. So I just kept on doing it. But as I kept on doing the app, I kept having trouble, not trouble, but I was putting silly videos out. I wasn't selling anything. So I was just putting funny content out and that was it. Where I started to realize something and kind of a light turned on was after a few of those videos really took off, I started getting people in my inbox. Music artists, a couple of clothing people, a couple of just, different sort of companies that were reaching out and they're like, hey, do you want to partner with this and do this? And we'll send you this and all of this stuff. Bless you. And they were reaching out and asking me all these questions about wanting to collaborate. And I didn't know what this was or what to do. And I was like, well, I think there's something here. So I explored that a bit further. And I guess what I came to realize in doing like these silly videos and whatnot, I started to basically try to rebrand myself. Because essentially what I noticed is when you have a business, say you make custom jewelry, you make custom jewelry, it's a hobby, you love it. Then you start to take pictures of it. Then you start to post that on Instagram and Facebook. And then people start to inquire about it. And then you start to sell that. And that's how the online business works, if you will. I didn't do that. I didn't have that. I was making funny videos, just being silly, and people were reaching out to me because I had an audience. And I didn't realize that people were paying or wanting to collaborate with me for, number one, my audience, and number one, the kind of stories that I could help maybe them tell on social media. So when I realized that, I was like, okay, that's when I'm going to start taking this a little more seriously and kind of start, again, rebranding myself and putting kind of my spin on the content and myself out there, because essentially I'm starting to sell myself. And then another point that I came across on TikTok, because you're lip syncing and doing funny stuff to videos, something else I realized, when someone heard my actual voice on a video, that's when I realized, oh, I have people who actually want to hear me and want to so you get in this whole mentality and it sounds kind of, I'm not one of those like, look at me kind of thing. But I was like, essentially I have to be kind of a look at me. Here's what I'm offering and what I'm selling. And that's how this whole crazy, I call it crazy because I'm still learning a lot. It's very in the beginning stages of all of this, but I realized something was there because of just the amount of questions I was getting from businesses. So
yeah, and that's the golden nugget right there, because a lot of our viewers obviously are entrepreneurs, are in the entrepreneur space, and they're trying to figure out what that secret formula is. How do I leverage social media? How do I leverage traditional media? How do I leverage podcasts to sell my product? And what I love about your story is you kind of started backwards in the inverse.
Yeah.
you started getting all this coverage and you're like, maybe I should leverage it somehow.
Yeah, it blew me. I was very taken back by it. It blew me away because I didn't know. Just this is not how I was taught to do business or to do anything. I didn't learn this in school. I mean, this is something where schools should really pay attention and start teaching your kids how to do stuff and market themselves online and to accept payments and money and how does all that work? Do you do a Cash App? Do you open a PayPal account? Do you open an actual checking account? All of these are just like things that I started to learn, and I'm so thankful for my husband. He stepped up, and as this started to kind of happen, he was like, well, let's open an LLC for you. Let's get this so that we know where this money's going and where. So
Brilliant.
you know, and again, that's
Brilliant.
something I would not have thought of at all. And it's something that it's just, again, this has been a tremendous learning process. And people ask me questions and I let them know what I know. And I'm like, this is all I know right now, but come to me in 6 more weeks and I'll let you know again, because I'm finding out things that I didn't know. I'm making mistakes that I didn't know, but it's just, it's been a fun, oddly fun learning process. Cause in the process, I'm just being, I mean, you see the account,
Yeah.
I'm just being silly on there. So
Well, and I want to show our viewers another video because I want them to appreciate what it is you're doing. We talk about entrepreneurship in that you should wake up every day loving what you do, excited about what the day is going to bring. And if you make money and you're helping people, even, and for you, I love watching your videos because you put a smile on my face for two reasons. Number one, it's hilarious. And number two, because I know you and I know your heart and I know your spirit, and it just it's alive and it really speaks. And so I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are looking for is how do you show that to the world and then make money with it and actually create a stream of income for yourself. So let me show this other video because this is really one of my favorites, and then we can start talking about some tips and things you've learned.
Is that my friend? That's my friend. That's my friend. That's my friend. Hey, girl. Hey. Is it? I don't even know if I'm happy to see her. She got food? I guess I'll go say hi.
So you see, that was literally a video that I saw. Some girl acted it out and I thought it was hilarious. I took that audio, I made a skit out of it, I lip synced it. And that was one of the first ones that went, that's the one that sits right now at 4.7. And it's till this day, till this morning, I'm still getting notifications of people sharing it and commenting on it. But that was one of the first ones I realized there's something there that I could, I mean, that right there is a good example of a partnership that I could reach out if I wanted to Petco or some cat company or some dog company or grooming company, and there's something there. So that's when I started to realize, okay, there's something to be said about these silly videos, if you will. So
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's any viewers out there who are doing this and who are being successful on TikTok and leveraging partnerships and collaborations, drop us some comments because we'd like to hear about that. We'd love to learn more about what it is you're doing. Let's share with the group. This group in this community is about sharing and learning. So I'm really excited about that. Trey, I'm going to put up your how people can watch you on TikTok because you've got amazing videos. I know you also share them on Facebook and some other platforms, but make sure that you check Trey out there. Let's talk about kind of going back to your news background. A lot of our viewers want to know how to get on news broadcasts.
Yeah.
How do you pitch to TV? It's not, people have this weird conception that or idea that TV is just really hard to get on and you have to be super popular and super famous or have this great agency behind you to get you on TV. But that's not necessarily true.
exactly. You know what? That mentality it would have fit to a T 40, 30 years ago before social media. That was the thing. You wanted to get on local news. That was the way to get. We don't, and I'm not bashing local news, but essentially we don't need local news. We do, but you can reach so many people just on your phone, just on your social. Yes, the local aspect is great, but you can start off practicing and doing your stuff on social first. But when it comes to pitching to TV news, you're going to put together your press kits, if you will. If you're going to have an event, you're going to put all this stuff together. I recommend, what I'm going to tell you right now is what I didn't like when I would receive stuff from on the TV end.
Perfect.
So you're going to want to readjust your press kit, if you will. You're not going to want to send the same thing you send to a blogger or to someone at a newspaper. You're going to want to maybe customize the press release a little bit for someone in TV. One of the biggest things I would say, and this may be something because of the times that we're in right now, don't call if you're going to pitch a story. That's just kind of especially with people in TV. Number one, you don't know when they're on air. Number two, I used to work a morning show, so I had very odd sleeping hours, and you don't want to call someone when you're pitching a story. Email them if you already have a connection with them. Text them, but email's always, I would say, the preferred way, if you will. If you do get a hold of them by phone and you start to pitch to them, first off, ask them if they have time. Be courteous and just be like, hey, do you got a quick sec? I got something for you. And then when you pitch to them, pitch in bullet points. What's the boom, the who, what, when, where, why, and just make it fast. That's what, and the reason I say that, and it's not a sense of like, because I don't care or a sense of urgency, TV works in minutes and seconds. So I need to see something that I can easily be like, oh, I can turn that into a story and this is great. I picked what I needed out of it. So you want to pitch the same way. You don't want to pitch this whole long-winded story of in 1990 something, and I don't need to know that. I need to know the who, what, when, where, and why. Which leads me to a big one, the why. So the Woodlands Pride Festival, there was a story that I did for Morning Dose. It sounds like a great event. It is a great event. You come on, we're having this event, happens in September. Here's a graphic. Here's the who, what, when, where, boom. That's great. But the why is what makes your story stand out. And if you can pitch your why and you can and get attention and get that attention, that's what's going to help get your story on. So the Woodlands Pride came on, and I come to find out that the event was it's a Pride festival that takes place in a suburb of Houston. It takes place in September. Great, you're building awareness for the gay community. It checks off all the boxes. What stood out to me about that story was the CEO of the organization posted on Facebook how he started this. It was 2 years old, and he was like, hey, and he posted this picture of him and his partner saying he was in the closet and Orlando happened, the big shooting at the Pulse nightclub. And he saw people being killed for who they were. And he felt this sense of like, oh my God, I'm living this lie, if you will, or this secret with my partner. And it was a whole touching story of just how he came to find himself, found the importance of wanting to bring this to people. And him and his partner were like, number one, we're coming out. Number two, we're going to put on this event. And we're going to bring awareness to the gay community here in a suburb of Houston, which is actually kind of unheard of, because when you hear of Pride events, they're usually inner city Pride events. They're not in a suburb. So the fact that they had thousands of people show up for the first event and then they had thousands more for the second, there's something there. So that's an example of just someone took to social to post something, and you found that what made, there's a lot of Pride events around town. What made that special was that story, that heart. You can't get that anywhere else. I mean, that's what made the story a story. Another one that I use an example of, during the height of the pandemic, everyone was doing these Zoom drive-by birthdays and celebrations. And when they first started, I think all of us were like, oh my God, it's so sweet. And it was the new normal. So we were all kind of moved by it. But how many times can I tell you that I received emails of like, oh my God, look at this car parade. Okay, great. But I can't put that on air because, I'm going to get 50 of them. What makes yours special? Well, what made one special was this lady was in Pearland. She had worked at the bank for 40 years and she was turning 80 years old. And they got people from the city of that right there. Number one, she's 80 years old, working during the height of the pandemic, working. She's a high risk, citizen. She's still working. She's been there 40 years. She graduated from Pearland High School. That's the story right there. That's the why. That's what makes your event, your business, your story different. And the more that you can pitch that, the more you can put that out there, the faster you can. That's what's going to help you ultimately get coverage. So
yeah, I love that. And that's so true. So you can be a jewelry designer, like Trey said. You can be a trademark attorney. You can be a chiropractor. You can be a mindset coach, but it's the why.
Yeah.
The why, what moves you, what drives you. Once you're ready to let people in and see that vulnerability, that's what really touches people. And so, Trey, I love that you used both of those examples, because that's exactly what it is we want people to get in touch with as they're thinking about how to pitch to the media. Because like you said, media gets thousands and thousands of calls and emails, and it's really about sharing that one thing that makes you unique, because we're all unique. We all have a story. Every single one of us, every part of your business has a unique component to it. So I love that tip. Is there any other tips you want to share about how people can reach out to reporters and really focus on getting coverage?
Yeah, if it's a recurring event, also, if it's something that's going to happen, another example. So we had food banks reach out to us, and they were having a bunch of food drive-throughs and whatnot. What makes it easy if you need coverage of an event? Number one, don't call us the day of the event. That should be a given. But you don't make your problem someone else's problem. Oh, I forgot to contact you. Don't do that. But if you have a reoccurring event and you put together a press release or a press kit or whatever, the first event that you have, if no one goes and you're trying to get more coverage, take pictures of that event, take video of that event, include that in your email, make a Dropbox account and put B-roll pictures and put all of that in there. And the reason I say this is because a lot of people have a tendency to want to reach out to reporters and anchors because you see them on air. Those are the face of the newscast. A lot of times a reporter has an assignment or they're looking for one thing. So if you have this wonderful pitch, it's great, but you know what? I have my story. I'm not going to listen to you. It's fine. I'm going to move along. But the reason I say put it together and still send it out there is because as a producer, I don't have a one specific assignment. I'm looking for a guest that can either add something to this reporter story, or maybe we need a live in-studio guest. You're thinking of other things. So don't write it off as like, oh, I reached out to one person from one station. They said no. No, they said no because they don't need it. But there's associate producers, there's producers from the show, there's people on web departments that want to do web exclusive. There's constant people that are putting that kind of content out there that are looking for that content. So reach out and send it to them. Another thing, to even just build up your portfolio of contacts, every news station, you go to their contact page, they're going to have a general email address that you can send emails to and send press releases. Usually, I'm speaking for the ones I've worked at, usually those email addresses go to distribution of different people in the organization. So it'll go to the anchors, it'll go to the news desk, it'll go to the producers, the importance of that. And that's back to what I was saying, is that just because a reporter doesn't want it, there's other people that are looking for that story and can help get that on air. To add even more to that, if you're, again, trying to build contacts and interact with people on social media, interact with reporters, and not just reporters, again, interact with web departments. I follow so many guys from the web department at ABC 13 and KHOU, and they're all behind the scenes people and the on-air people. Follow them, interact with them, see what kind of stories that they're posting. Because a lot of times if someone posts a story about, oh, this restaurant shut down because they were violating COVID operations. You know what? As a business owner, if I had a restaurant, hey, you could even message the reporter. I run XYZ restaurant, this and this. We're following COVID guidelines. Boom.
Great
There's
idea.
a story right. Yeah, you just have to make it conversational. Just interact with people. It doesn't have to be this serious buttoned up pitch. Just talk to people. And that gets you so many places. There's this one guy who has a restaurant here in Houston. And during the height of the pandemic, I knew him personally from something he let us do years ago. He let us use his restaurant for a photo shoot. That always stood out to me because it was so nice of him and he was just very generous. Well, fast forward years later, when I knew something was going on with COVID-19 and we needed to talk to a restaurant, I knew him right away. I picked up the phone, I gave him a call, he let us in his restaurant again. So again, it's just about building those contacts, building those relationships, and just nurturing them, because that's essentially, you're going to need each other more than once, and it's going to work both ways. There's going to be times when a reporter is looking for you and vice versa. You're looking for the coverage as well. So
now I love that. That's a great idea. And we did have one comment. Tanya Thomas wants you to speak a little bit more on LLCs. So switching gears back to the business part, what are some tips there? Obviously, you mentioned your husband was very forward thinking and business oriented and said, oh, no, dear, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set you up. Talk about how you guys started thinking about an LLC and what was a good fit for you.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to sit here and try to work my way around and be like, oh, this is all my idea. And I was very blessed that I had someone set me aside and be like, this is what you need to do. And he explained why. He explained it's like, you want to keep track of these finances to keep track, number one, of your growth, number two, for IRS and tax filings and all that stuff. So I want to take more credit for it, but it was literally him just sitting me down and saying, this is what we need to do to make sure we can keep track of everything. And it was obviously, we went through our attorney, went over everything, and just kind of, again, and I know he's probably watching right now thinking, ha 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 ha, but yes. You can contact my husband and I'll send you all links and whatnot. But yeah, that was totally something that was I'm very thankful that he had the mindset to think of that. So
Yeah. And, I think that's also a good point is that it takes a team. Oftentimes if say you're a mindset coach and you're the person giving trainings, you're the one working with people one-on-one, but there's a team of people behind you. There's probably someone helping you with your social media, with maybe your bookkeeping. You probably have an attorney or someone that's helping to guide those decisions. And here's the real nugget of the conversation. If you don't have a team, you probably need to get one.
Yeah. And you know what also, and to piggyback off that a little bit too. So I don't have a huge team, obviously, of what I'm doing. I'm blessed that I understand social media enough to where it doesn't seem that much of a task to me, but I understand how easy social media can be a task for someone. I get it. I understand. And it goes back to just even tips that I give people when it comes to social media. It's like, don't, if you're overwhelmed with social and you have, let's say, a Facebook page, focus on the Facebook page. If that's what you know, focus on that. Do that. But don't be lazy about the example I use all the time is when I see people post something to Instagram and they'll click the cross post to Twitter. And you go to their Twitter account and you can see, but you can tell that it's a lazy, here's a link and you can tell it was a cross post. It's not organic. So my tip to that, and I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of myself, but I was just thinking about that. I was like, don't make your social media lazy. It's something to just always attend to and always, again, don't make it feel like a huge task for you, especially if you don't know social media that well. So
yeah, no, I think that's a great piece of advice. So Trey, as we're wrapping up here, I know our viewers are dying to find out. I know people are going to go start looking at your videos, and if you have 15 minutes, folks, go watch the videos. Seriously, it's Trey. It's at Trey.Serna, Serna, or as we like to pronounce, Serna. Serna. But for those of you that needed spoken out so that you can type it in, make sure you go check it out. But everybody wants to know what's next. What are you up to? What's kind of on the horizon for you?
Honestly, the pandemic has taken a little turn of it, if you will. So our original plans of wanting to move forward with things and do things, we kind of, said, oh, well, we'll let the summer go by and kind of see what happens in the fall. Fall's here, so honestly, it's just a day at a time. I'm growing this, I'm expanding this, I'm learning more. You're going to see more videos. You're going to see more partnerships with people and whatnot. I'm working on myself. And when I say that, I'm working on how to pitch myself to people. And also when people reach out to me and inquire, I'm working on a better way to be like, hey, here's what I can do for you. Here's the possibilities of social media for you. And I think I gravitated more toward the social aspect because that's where I saw growth. And that's what I'm still learning, I'm still learning it. And I totally recommend my biggest tip, if you get anything out of this, because you're a business and you're trying to get yourself out there, get onto social. If you don't understand it, be an observer. I was an observer for months on TikTok. Remember, I was watching my coworkers be like, I'm not going to do that. That's silly. Months. Then when it came time to actually do something, I did it. And then I was able to step up even faster when I started to get people reacting from it and people wanting to inquire and partner and this and this. I was able to because I knew the platform, because I had months and months of mindless scrolling and just watching. Do that. If you don't have Instagram, download Instagram. It's a free app. Scroll through it. See how people post on it. Do it for months. And by the time you know it, you're going to know about the app without even realizing that you learned so much about it. And you're going to be able to put everything out there. And you're going to be able to just, the world with social media is endless of how many people we can reach. You know what I mean? So it's just, It doesn't hurt to just get all of them, but don't make it feel like a task. Because if you do that, then you're going to feel overwhelmed and you're not going to be happy and it's going to be a bad effect. But just take it slow. Have a good time. That's all you can do.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And I love that we're ending with that advice. Take it slow, have a good time. And that's exactly what you're doing. I know your business is just going to explode and I just can't wait to see it. And I'll be able to say, oh, I knew that guy.
You'll see me on Broadway.
I know, that TikTok star. I knew him back in the day, and he was on Saturday Sound Bites once. And then I'll be trying to tag the heck out of you to get more viewers in my group. But
and I'll retweet it and do all the fun stuff too. So
that's awesome. Great. Well, Trey, thank you so much. I'm going to close this out, but I just want to tell you how proud I am of you, and I just love what you're doing, and I love that you're living in the space that you're supposed to be living in, and I ultimately hope that's what everyone is working towards.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, everybody, we are going to wrap up our show today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was truly phenomenal. I loved all the advice. I hope you got some good advice. I know there's some questions and comments that are listed, so we will be sure to respond. Trey and I will probably, as soon as we log off, get back onto those and respond to you individually. Folks, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today. If you're watching on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay so that we know you're watching. Again, visibility, strategies, marketing, advertising, public relations, it all works together. And on Saturday Soundbites, we're going to bring you guests and topics that are going to really help you build something that's going to help you grow your business. Make sure that you check out my website at veronicavsofer.com. I'm also participating in a great new summit that's going to kick off the new year. January 2nd, you will find comments and links to register for this free summit. It's a mini summit, and we're going to bring together some phenomenal professionals that are going to teach you about processes. So we're going to launch your business into 2021 strongly with great processes in place. So make sure you check that out too. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And I'm leaving you with lots of energy and positive light so that you have a great week. Thanks so much.